Now that we have Blender set up on our computer, it's time to take a look at the interface. Now, when you first open Blender, it might seem a bit overwhelming because we have tons of buttons and menus, but don't worry, because you'll never be using all of this functionality at the same time. And as you progress through the course step by step, all of these menus and buttons are going to start to make sense to you. And understanding the Blender interface becomes really easy if we break it down into different parts. So all I want you to do is remember some of the names that I will be telling you. So for example, later in the course I might say go to your outliner, so you know what outliner is and where it's located on your interface. So let's start at the top. First we have this area called menu bar, and within that we have individual menus. So later in the course, if I say go to edit menu, you'll know that I'm talking about this part of the interface. Next we have our workspace buttons. Now workspaces are simply different arrangements for the interface layout, and we're going to explore that in the next video in more detail. And then here in the center we have our 3D viewport, and this is the area where you'll spend 99% of your time working on your 3D models. On the left of the 3D viewport we have our toolbar, and if I go through these different tools, you can see we have tool settings above the toolbar. So as I change through these. Now, this part above this 3D viewport is called header, but it's part of a 3D viewport, so you just have to remember that it's called header. And then on the right here, we have our outliner. Now, outliner basically outlines everything that you have in your 3D world. Right now, it shows us we have a camera, a cube, and a light, and all three objects are visible here in a 3D world. Below that, we have our properties editor. Properties editor gives you extra details about your 3D objects that you have selected. For example, if I select this cube, you can see we have several tabs here on the left side. For now, all you have to remember is that it gives you a bit extra details about your selected asset. And then at the bottom, we have our animation timeline, and this can be used to animate objects. And then at the very bottom, we have our status bar. So this is the entire interface of Blender. And just to quickly recap, at the very top we have our menu bar, next we have our workspace buttons, below that we have our header, and then in the center we have our 3D viewport. On the left we have our toolbar, and then on the right we have our outliner and properties editors. So this is the default interface. Now there are two keyboard shortcuts that I'd like to go over. These are helpful, you don't have to remember them right away, but I'm gonna just go over them. If you want to hide this toolbar, you can press T on your keyboard, and then you can press T again to enable it again, so it's a toggle. And then you can also press N on your keyboard, and that's going to enable what is known as sidebar. And again, by pressing N again, it's gonna hide. So you can sort of toggle between on and off with N or T. So that's all you have to remember for now.